Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 23. And sorry if my voice sounds a little bit off. I have a little bit of a cold, nothing serious, but my voice has been pretty bad the last few days. So, anyways, in last episode, we had the entire offseason once again. We drafted a lot of defensemen to try and make our team a little bit better defensively. And our team is going to be pretty exciting, I think, for this upcoming season. It should be our best season yet again. As you can see, our forward group is getting some good growth. Like, our third line is getting close to being almost like a fourth line. And in our defensive core, as you can see, we drafted Coley Minen. He definitely makes us look a lot better when you have like all 70s pretty much on it. So should be interesting to see what Coley Minen could do in his rookie season. And he's also going to be playing on the second power play unit. Zekov's going to be on the top one, obviously, because he's the better overall right now. And then goalie wise, we got Neil and Carlson, so a 75 and a 75. So it should be interesting to see how the two of them do. Now, before we get into simulating this entire season, I do have a number of comments to go over. So the first one is from Zach. He says, you should have picked up all the A-rated scouts. As a few of us said, you should replace all your C-rated scouts with the best rated scouts available. Next season, pick it up all the best rated scouts and fire your worst ones. So you mean even if they're pro scouts, sign them and you could use them as amateur scouts is what you mean exactly, right? So I could literally get any single A-rated scout ever. And that's out there in like free agency, I guess you could say. So let me know about that type of thing, and I'll definitely try and get that done next offseason. It's just I'm still trying to understand how that you guys mean, how they grow and all that stuff. So, but I think you guys mean that basically if you get one that's rated in E in a different region, that they will just grow. Their region will basically grow into fitting what you want them to be, basically, right? Our next comment is from Christopher Larson. He says, your goalies won't grow as well if you don't have a goalie coach with good teaching grades. Now, I don't think goalie coaches are that important to franchise mode, to be honest. Like my Arizona Coyotes franchise I had in NHL 22, I never really had a goalie coach after a certain point. So I don't think we need a goalie coach, but maybe next offseason we'll pick up one of them just to see how it impacts our team a little bit. But at least we have an NHL head coach. We got an assistant coach. We got an associate as well this year. And then we got our AHL head coach and associate coach, so it's not too bad. Our next comment is from Alexandru Ionescu. Sorry if I mispronounced that. I don't know how to pronounce every single word out there, but or last name out there. Can you try for 1 year to get couches? Oh wait, he means coaches. Yeah, coaches. I think there was just a spelling mistake. Get coaches, maybe will boost your growth. Your goaltender needs some. So he's also talking about the goalie coaches. Yeah, and this next offseason we'll look and get a goalie coach and just see if it helps our team a little bit more. Maybe we just need to keep on bringing in coaches, considering we don't really have a budget anyways. Our next comment is from Cadillac. He says Kuznetsov is a 7th D and Nikitin is a top 6 D. That's what his opinion is, but I don't know. To me, I basically play the players with the better potential. So Kuznetsov 72 at 24, so he probably won't pan out. And then you have Nikitin who's 74 at 24. So you got a guy that's a little bit better at the same age, but has worse potential. So it's like I don't really know who to play. Like, I mean, if Kuznetsov's not playing that good early on, like we could check always like 5 or 10 games in, I could take him out and put in Nikitin always. So yeah, that's not much of a problem, I don't think, in this point. But yeah, both those guys don't seem like they're panning out, which is unfortunate. Hopefully some of them do a little bit this season, because they're kind of at that make or break point, and they might get replaced by somebody in the AHL next season. So next comment is from Bruins Boy 63. He says, I think putting Claxton on the top line will help with his development and overall stats playing with 2 stars, but then you wouldn't have a third line center. Yeah, which is true. So basically, yeah, the rest of these guys don't play center. I don't think any of them have good face-off numbers, even. Yeah, a lot of these guys are just in like the 60s in terms of face-offs. So yeah, then we wouldn't have a third line center, and we need Claxton to kind of like slowly get development in a sense. Like, he's playing with Pierce Hall, which is a good combination, I think. Eventually he might be able to get his way into our top 6, but then we'd have to play somebody like Keith on the wing, which doesn't really make sense. So I feel like his ceiling with this team might be a third line center, but hopefully he develops into being a pretty good one. And then the final comment is from Hockey Guy 88. He says, this might be a bit bold, but I am predicting 30 wins this season. Also, I'd like to have Parrott on the top line because of his franchise potential. So he's saying basically flip the 2 of these guys around and put Parrott up and then put Jorgensen down. I think that makes sense because Jorgensen, I mean, he is still an elite player. Obviously, he was our first ever pick, but he's still not really reaching the max that he could be. Parrott is much younger, so putting Parrott on the top line might make a bit of sense. But the only thing is, him and Bickle are both goal scorers, so you kind of want somebody on there to distribute the puck in order for them to be effective, I think. So, I mean, we could play Parrott as a center at some point, but it doesn't really make sense because he's a goal scorer kind of thing. But I think we will try Parrott on the top line this season. But if he does, one of these guys like Parrott or Bickle don't score enough goals, then I think Jorgensen has to be with one of them, just because then you don't have that. You have two snipers basically in a sense. Parrott's like not a sniper, but he is a goal scorer, and same with Bickle. So I kind of like to balance out the lines between goal scorers and all that type of thing. But that second line probably won't score as much with Parrott down there, my guess. But we'll see what it's like this entire season, just for the fun of it, because why not? Since we're still in like our trial runs and stuff like that anyways. So anyways, let's get to this season simulation. Actually, we do have to take a look at our new players still that are on our roster, which I don't think there's really any. There might be a few. Actually, Kolemainen is definitely one of them. So we'll take a look at Kolemainen, because I am curious on what he looks like. And I don't think there's anybody else it's on our roster that is new. I know Harry Neal is back in the NHL. He was in the NHL a few years ago. Yeah, he was a few years ago. Let's see, defenseman, I think, yeah, Kolemainen's the only new one on this block, right? Yeah, he's the only new kid on the block, basically. Let's take a look at what Kolemainen looks like. He's got some silver hair like a lot of these guys do. Another guy that looks way older than he actually is, 18-year-old Esa Kolemainen. Yeah, right. So there's Kolemainen. Anybody else new on our roster? I don't remember. Don't think so. I feel like most of these guys have been here for the last few years. Yeah. Our center core and everything has stayed the same the last few years. So that is our new player. And let's simulate the season and see what we do. Well, we hit 30 wins. Last year we hit, I think it was 28, wasn't it? So we were pretty close to hitting 30. So let's see if we're not going to be the worst team in the league this season, because that would be a major step up if the case. And so far, we're having a really good preseason. 4-2-2 in the preseason. That's actually way better than I expected. That might be our best preseason yet. Bickle had 12 points through 8 games. Nice. Let's see in that trial run how Kuznetsov did in the preseason, because I am curious on how his offense is. He had 4 points in 8 games. Wow. We'll see what he does during the regular season a little bit, but if need be, like we said, we could always throw Nick Eaton in just to like kind of see who's the better of the two players. Because, I mean, both of them, I think, are going to get replaced at some point anyways, because they aren't really growing to that potential. But, yeah, hopefully we have an interesting season ahead. Not necessarily saying making the playoffs, but if we have a, like, roster that's at least, like, not the worst in the league, I will be pretty happy, I say, with that. So, let's go all the way to January the 1st. Take a little bit slower this season, just because why not? We start off the season with a couple wins early on, and an OT loss, and a regulation loss, too. That's not bad. We already have 3 wins, and we're not even out of our first month yet. And there's our 4th win, too. Okay, yeah, we're definitely gonna hit 30 wins this year, I think, at this rate. Unless we have a really terrible month, which obviously could happen. It's doing that right now. We're losing every game now. There's a win over Ottawa, though. When's our next win gonna come? There's one over the Oilers in overtime. It's pretty surprising. 9-3 over the Rangers. Goddamn. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely gonna hit 30 wins this season. I mean, we already have 9 wins, and we're not even in 2029 yet, so this is looking good. Already double-digit wins. Yep, there we go. 12 wins. Let's go, boys. Yeah, we're definitely not going to be a playoff team, but as long as we have a respectable record, I should say, this year, we're not going to have probably a top 5 pick this year, I'd say. Maybe we will have one, because we're probably going to still be one of the worst teams, but there's a chance we could fall out of the top 5, even, I assume, depending on how good these other teams are. But 14-20-3 halfway through the season, pretty much. Let's get the rest of this done and see where we finish up. So 14 wins. We only need 16 more to reach what Hawks fan predicted. He said it might be a bold prediction, but it was not really a bold prediction, I would say. Just based on how we played last year. It's pretty easy so far, it seems like, to hit that range. The question is, are we going to hit more than 30 wins? I don't think so, really. Maybe 32, maybe 33 at the most. Maybe we won't even hit it, who knows. Because we are kind of playing like shit lately. We have 19 wins so far, and we're losing a bunch in a row. Come on, boys. There you go. There's win 20. There's 21. 22. There's a 3-game winning streak, but it's ended by the Dallas Stars. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's continue simulating. We only need 8 more wins to get what Hawks fan predicted. And I don't know if any of you guys out there had predictions in the offseason or not. I don't think so. But if you guys did, we are probably getting close to what you guys predicted anyways. 23 wins. Come on, boys. Don't go on a slide. Let's hit 30 wins this year. We're kind of struggling in the second half a lot more, I think. Because we got a lot of wins early on, but now we're losing way too much. I don't think it's possible for us to hit 30 wins now. Yep, we're not going to hit 30 wins. It looked like promising early on in the season, but then we dropped a lot of games. We hit 25 wins, which I think is less than last season. So that is kind of a bit concerning, but I mean, I will take it, I guess, in a sense, as long as the guys are getting development and all that. Hopefully that is the case. 25, 51, and 6. So not a great year in terms of simulating-wise. We are going to still finish as the worst team in the NHL by like 7 or 8 points, it looks like, because Rangers are just above us. Wow. But we did have more regulation wins in them. That's an unfortunate year in a sense that we didn't play better than I expected, because I think that roster looks really solid, but it apparently wasn't. Let's take a look at the entire league standings. So, yeah, we are dead last, which isn't terrible, I guess. We have the top odds in the lottery again. We were not the worst offensive team. We were better than the St. Louis Blues, the New York Rangers, and the Minnesota Wild. I almost did North Stars for some reason in my head. And yeah, we were still the worst defensive team, so that still needs to improve quite a bit. Maybe I should have thrown in Nikitin halfway through the year and just saw how he played, but whatever. Our power play percentage, let's see, was not too bad, I guess. 16.8, which is around mid-table. And our penalty kill looks actually kind of good. It's not the best. Buffalo had 88.4. Damn, that's an elite penalty kill. We were actually like mid-table in the the penalty kill, which is pretty good. So it just seems like we're not good defensively. 5-on-5, which is a bit weird. 2 shorthanded goals, 10, 27, and 4 on home ice, 15, 24, and 2 on the road, and 1, 8, and 1 in our last 10 games. And that's why we didn't hit 30 wins this year. That's unfortunate. Oh well. Let's take a look at what the players did this year. See how the offense was. So Zigov had 67 points this year. He hasn't hit that 80-point plateau he had a few years ago. Last year he was plus. This year he was a minus 37. I don't know if it's because of the line changes that we made or what, but interesting. Parrott had 59 points and a minus 39. That's playing on the top line. That's not very great. Seems like moving him to the top line, his goal scoring went down and all that stuff. So maybe we need to move him back to being on the second line, even though he's a franchise player, I guess, in a sense. Derek Heath, 46 points in his second season. A little bit better defensively and offensively, which is good to see. So at least he improved. His face-off numbers got better as well this season, and his takeaway numbers as well, which is nice. So there you go. He's up to an 89, apparently, based on statistical growth probably, so he might be top-line center next season. Claxton, 25 points, up to a 73, so still steadily growing a little bit, which is not too bad. His face-off numbers still aren't great because he's not a great face-off player, but his point production has been not bad for a third-liner. Could be improved for sure, but I will take it. Grattan, 9 points. He's not really much of anything anyways. Bickle, 66 points, 36 goals this year, which is nice to see. Frederick Bickle hit 36 goals. But he has not scored 40 since his second NHL season, which is a bit weird. And the plus-minus went from a 7 to a minus 44, so I don't know if the line changes really played factor or not, but there you go on that front. And in Festerini, 45 points, not bad, but it was a drop-off, I think, in production. Yeah, it was a major drop-off in production as well, but his plus-minus improved. So there you go on Festerini. Pierce Hall, 39 points, not bad. Looks like his production went up just barely. Right around the same as last year's point totals. We also got Cox, who had 35 points, which I believe is a career high. Yeah, career high for Jeff Cox there, so pretty solid. Right wing-wise, Jorgensen hit 78 points. He's still been our most consistent player in terms of offense. Like, he had that one bad season, but yeah, pretty solid season again from him. He's up to 461 points already in his young career. Sloan, 18 points, and Volette, 17 points. Hopefully we can replace these guys at some point because they're not really much of anything at all. So, defensively, Zigov had 30 points this year, pretty solid. 30 points. He had 36 last year, though, so a little bit of a drop-off in production for Boris Zigov. Some block shots as well. A lot of block shots, actually. Pretty solid. Yeah, at least he's picking up points every year, so that's good. He's only 20, so can't complain. Nicholas Kronwall, 21 points. He's not really developing much more, unfortunately, but still picks up around 20 points, which is good. Yeah, so Cody Minen in his rookie season had 20 points. Still 79 apparently, minus 29 this year, so that could have also made us a little bit worse defensively, that there was a rookie in the lineup. I don't know. And then we also had Moroza hit 20 points this year. He's up to an 80 overall, so we should probably lock him up long term maybe. So that way at least we have a top 4 defenseman that's not really expensive. Strachan hit 10 points this year. He's up to a 79. Both these guys are up for renewal as well, so they're going to be kind of expensive, I guess. And then Valery Kuznetsov is up to a 73, so he's developing still a little bit, but he's not really that great of anything. Goaltending wise, this might have been our problem. Carlson was 13, 28, and 4, an 891 save percentage, and a 363 goals against average. And then Neal played 46 games. He was 12, 24, and 2 with 1 shutout, and 894 and a 3.55. So Harry Neal was technically the better of the two of these goalies, which makes sense with that elite potential. One's a 76 now, one's a 75. And both of them had assists, a combined 3 assists from our goaltenders this season, so not too bad on that front either. Let's take a quick look at the entire league for fun, just to see who led the league in points and all that. So Nathan McKinnon led again with 118 points. Matthews up there, and Casey Dawes for the Arizona Coyotes. Clayton Keller is also up there, what a surprise. Best goal scorer is McKinnon by a large margin of 15 goals, which is kind of crazy. So there you go on that front. Best defenseman this season was Quinn Hughes with 77 points, but best with like plus minus and stuff like that is Charlie McAvoy, looks like. Morgan Riley also up there. Best goalie this season for wins is going to be Wallstead and Kakinen and Koshikov. Wow, a lot of guys that you wouldn't expect to be up there in a sense with wins. Shutout wise, it's going to be Wallstead with 8 shutouts. Save percentage wise by a starter, Kakinen with a 916, but Wallstead had a 915. And goals against average by a starter, it is going to likely be, Capo Kakinen, more than likely going to be your Vezina winner this season, which is interesting. No goalie goals? Yeah, no goalie goals. And most goalie assists to Sorokin. Best rookie this year for points, Ulf Megnason, who was the franchise guy that went first overall. He had 41 goals in his rookie season with Buffalo, 60 points. Vihiacola is also up there, Garrett Hughes, Schroeder. And yeah, obviously, our defenseman's not going to be anywhere near that point because he only had 20 points this year. Yeah, he's going to be all the way down here, tied with Elias Salomonson. So there we go in terms of player stats this season. Actually, let's take a quick look at the AHL as well, just because I need to know if the guys are developing down there or not. So Ferraro had 51 points. He doesn't have much potential anyways. I'm looking for the guys with potential mostly. See if they're developing. I don't think a lot of these guys have potential. A lot of them are bottom 6 forwards. Walzer has top 6 potential, and he's up to a 69 at 20. That's not bad. That's not too bad at all. Looks like his shooting's not necessarily the best, but his offense is getting better as well. So, yeah, he might end up being on the NHL team on like the bottom 6 next season, or we could wait till he gets to like a 70-something first. Garachev has low top 6 potential. He's up to a 64. Had 18 goals and 4 assists, but he has tape to tape as a zone ability or an X factor, which is kind of funny. Pricing, no potential there. Farrell has low lead potential. He's a 74 now. He could crack our defensive core next season, or we could wait a little bit still. Larson's not really developing much more, which is unfortunate. Pusher is developing a decent amount, 68. 33 points. We also got Eichel, who's got 30 points. He's a 66 low lead at 20 years old. Carson Licht, low top 6 potential. A lot of defenders with potential down there. Cleanan, 73 at 21. He's not developing much more either. And Vahiola, who's the medium top 4, is a 63 at 19. So there's the defensive core. And goalie-wise, Tays, 68 at 20, not bad. And then Pustin is a 67 at 21. Yeah, it seems like we're kind of struggling for some growth in a sense. Like, we need way more prospects in this organization for sure. So there is that. Let's assimilate up to the awards for this season. See who ends up winning the Stanley Cup and all that. The retirements, and we will see what the draft class and all that stuff looks like. Wrap up the season. But yeah, hopefully we could start to trend towards being a playoff team as soon as possible in a sense, because a lot of these guys are almost getting closer to their max potentials in a sense, and we're gonna have to start dishing out some big contracts soon too, and it's gonna get pretty expensive and right near the cap probably eventually at some point. So Vancouver wins the Stanley Cup this season, followed by the Eagles in the AHL. So Vancouver, the Stanley Cup champions for 2029. Let's take a look at those awards. Actually, we'll take a look at the playoff tree as well, though. But Vancouver wins the Stanley Cup. Toronto wins the President's Trophy for the second straight season, but no Stanley Cup. Vancouver and Montreal Stanley Cup Finals. Didn't that happen in this franchise mode in year one, or was that my Chicago series? I think that was my Chicago series, where it was in year one that happened. Nathan MacKinnon wins the Art Ross and the Hart as well. McAvoy wins the James Norris. Keller the Lady Byng. Magnuson the Calder. Pedersen the Conn Smythe. Kakinen the Vezina. Kakinen also got the Jennings. Siegenthaler wins the Masterton. Persinger wins the Adams for Dallas. Byfield the Selke. McKinnon the Lindsay. And the Richard as well. So a lot of awards for Nathan MacKinnon basically. Any awards for anybody in our AHL affiliate? Probably not. Nope, does not look like it, unfortunately. So there you go. In terms of awards, let's take a look at that playoff tree for fun as well, though. So yeah, Montreal beat Tampa in the conference finals to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Vancouver went through San Jose, Anaheim, and Colorado, and in Montreal in 7 games to win the Stanley Cup. So there we go. A lot of Canadian teams in the playoffs in that year. Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and that's basically it. Not a lot of Western Conference teams, but whatever. So there is that. Let's simulate up to the draft lottery results and see if we get the first overall pick this year. So that's at least something we could hope for. And hopefully there's a franchise player in the draft, because I don't really know the draft class yet. So, hey, look at that. We do have first overall at least. So despite having a bit of a bummer of a season, we do have the first overall pick for the 3rd time in this franchise mode, or is it the 2nd time? I think it might be the 3rd time, but at least it's the 2nd time for sure. So there you go. St. Louis falls to doesn't fall, but they get number 2. Rangers number 3. Carolina and Columbus 4 and 5. That's good to have at least the first overall pick, but that player is going to be probably expensive down the road, which is not something I like. So retirement-wise, for centers, it's a pretty big retirement group. Stamkos, Zibanejad, those type of guys. Yeah, there's a lot of good players that retired this year. And on left wing wise, the best is Brad Marchand. Damn, David Perron. A lot of guys that you and I probably grew up watching, I would assume. Damn. Right wing wise, Brendan Gallagher. Good that he retired. No offense, Habs fans. I just like shots at Brendan Gallagher because he always threw shots at Stützle, you know. There we go. Defensively, Pietrangelo and Fowler. Yeah, there's some good defensemen out there as well. They retired. So there you go. Goalie-wise, the best is Frederick Anderson. Braden Holtby also there. Kemper. A lot of good goalies. So there is your retirement group for the season. Steven Stamkos is now a coach, which is interesting. And did we lose any coaches ourselves? We didn't lose any NHL scout ones, is good, and no AHL ones. That's good. Okay. Let's take a look at the progress reports, the contracts, and then we'll take a look at the draft class. But anybody grow a lot this season, like statistically or anything? Derek Keith is getting a lot of natural growth. No statistical growth, and he's up to an 88. That's great to see. Claxon jumped up to a 75, mostly natural growth as well. That's good to see. We're getting a lot of natural growth this year. Zikov up to an 85. Hull's still 78. Parrott's an 89. A lot of natural growth on him as well. So, yeah, all this natural growth is definitely going to help us next season. Let's actually go by each position to make it a little bit more visible so we can see what like our top lines would be like. Like, look at these 3 centers. I mean, Parrott usually plays the wing anyways, but looking pretty good in terms of growth. These guys, mostly statistical growth, it looks like, for the most part. And then, yeah, same with Jorgensen and Vallette. So our wingers are getting more statistical than natural, it looks like. And then our defensive prospects are getting a lot of growth. It looks like Moroz is up to an 81. He's going to need a contract this offseason, so we got to think about what we want to give him. Stragan's up to a 78. Coley Minon's getting some growth as well. Farrell's getting close to being a defenseman for us on our defensive core. He might actually be next season. He's a 76 at 20. Yeah, it looks like we're getting some good growth. Goaltending wise, Neal's up to a 78. Is that natural growth? Yes, it is. Let's go. He's actually an NHL backup goaltender now. That's huge. Because we've never had a goalie this high in overall wise, and that's definitely going to help us in terms of the simulation, I think, a little bit. So that's good to see. How about in the system? Let's go by each position again. Not a lot of growth so far. Cassian is growing decently for a low top 9. Bell, not really much growth, but still some growth. Walzer didn't really get any growth this season, which is kind of weird. But he had a good season, I'd say. What else we got here? Grachev got some growth. Same with pricing. Pusher is up to a 69. That's good to see. Eichel up to a 67 at 20. Not bad. It looks like we're getting some good growth, which is exactly what this team needs. And then obviously getting our first overall pick this year is going to help us out as well with that. I don't think Duncan's going to reach his elite potential, which is unfortunate, but we probably have to still sign him up anyways. Might like go with somebody like Pustonen if his contract is up for renewal or that type of thing. I don't know. So there you go in terms of the progress reports. Finally, the contracts in the draft class. So up for renewal this offseason, we have Bickle, who's the big one. He's our goal scorer. Ooh, he wants a lot of money if we go for 8 years. So we got to think about what we want to give Bickle. And then Zykov is also up for renewal. What? Wow, this is going to be really expensive. God damn, this is going to be an expensive offseason, guys. If we go to 8 years on Zykov, he only wants 8.25, which I think is okay. We could honestly lock this guy up as much as possible. And then Moroza. God damn. Yeah, this is going to be a really pricey offseason with Festerini as well. Like, there's a lot of good players here that need contracts. Like, we're going to be starting getting close to the cap floor. And obviously a lot of the other RFAs would just get qualified and whatnot. But yeah, this is going to be pricey. I think I'll probably end up having to let go of Klesla just to make room for some of these other guys that are unsigned. But yeah, yeah, this is going to be a tricky offseason ahead, I think, in that sense. But at least we have the first overall pick this year. So let's take a look at the draft class, because we have not taken a look at the draft class at all so far. Looks like we're going to get a center power forward, or we could get a center power forward in Mark Louis, who looks like he's going to be probably one of the best players in this draft. Interesting, playing for Halifax. There's also a lot of gems in his top 5. So you got Marshall Berchier, who's a two-way forward potentially. He does have a lot of A pluses as well, so there is a chance that he could go first overall. Harakala, who's a right-handed defenseman, offensive. Wow, this is a tough decision, because we do need offensive defensemen as well, because we only have two-way defenders. We don't have an OFD really to carry the offense, you know. But I mean, I see the argument to get one of those two guys as well. Holland, who's a two-way defenseman, is also up there, but he's definitely not the worst of the top 5 so far. And Edwin Green, who is from, I believe that is, what country is that? I'm trying to remember what country that is. I might throw it up on screen, but this guy's also looking pretty good. Couple A+ stats, a gem. Was playing in Czech Republic, and his name is Edwin Green, which is kind of funny. So 3 gems in the top 5, and in a regular top pick. Interesting. Yeah, this is going to be a tough decision, I'd say, between the drafts. So you guys might have some split decisions. I might have some split decisions. So we might end up having to go off a wheel spin on which one we go with. But I'd say it's definitely between Louis, Berchier, maybe Harakala, and Green. And in Holland, I'd say is a no-brainer that we're not going to do that. But that's a really crazy top 5, I should say, for this year's draft, which is nice for us. Any low elite potentials that we could pin, this goalie might be elite, but I don't know for that for sure. I'll pin him in case. Let's see if we got any other steals potentially. Woo, Hawks. Looks like a good goaltender. And he's a second rounder. We might end up having to take this guy, because he's got some good stats, but he might be only like a medium starter or something like that. So, but yeah, this guy might be our second round pick, to be honest, because we need to find that goaltender that could win us games as well, or be our backup goaltender at least. Rajala is a low elite that's also supposed to go in the second round and is listed as a gem. He honestly might be our second round pick too. Who knows? One of them has to be. And Latikainen, I don't know. Doesn't look like a whole lot of low elites, but there is at least that one that we know for sure, and he's a gem. There is this guy who's a gem as well, and low elite potentially, maybe. Yeah, we'll pin him as well. Stephen Wolf instead of Stephen Wolf. That's funny. Yeah, he's a gem, so he's probably a low elite, so we could take him in the 3rd round, probably. Interesting draft class, nonetheless, though. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in the next episode, we'll take it to another offseason. We'll use our first overall pick and all that stuff, and hopefully get ourselves some more players in to fill in that depth on our roster, and then we'll have a tough time probably with our re-sign stage. So let me know what you guys think we should give for contracts and all that stuff down below, and I'll see you guys next time.